There's several types of crabgrass preventers / pre-emergence on the market. Dimension, Halts, Barricade, any of those will work, but they do need to be watered in.
I'm Becky Kiser, Hayes Post Eagle Radio News reporter, and we're talking all things agriculture for the spring season with Stacy Campbell, Cottonwood Extension agriculture agent, on this episode of the Hayes Post podcast.
The wheat's actually looking pretty good. I mean, what I think today I didn't see, it's supposed to be really hot and windy. That's not good for the wheat, especially since we need some moisture, but overall...
Well, that's in the forecast for, Saturday, I think it is,
now?
coming up. They were saying snow even, but now I noticed yesterday they changed it to rain.
We could sure use some moisture for the wheat, but, driving around overall, it looks pretty good. But, we're definitely going to need some moisture, And mentioning the wheat, there's an insect that's actually a real dry weather pest that we don't really have to deal with much, but as you go further west, some years they do. We've got a little bit of that going on this year. It's called the brown wheat mite. But I was out scouting several fields on Monday or Tuesday and found one field that, had a fair amount of brown wheat mites, and then in the other fields I really couldn't find much. So probably something for guys to be aware of, but I don't know that it's a huge deal. And two, if we get a decent rain, it actually washes them off, and they're tiny little mites, so they drown. So let's just hope for a rain.
Yeah. Let's hope they drown.
Yes, exactly.
One of the things we wanted to talk about, I know you wanted to mention to remind everybody that there is what we used to call the tractor safety course coming up for young people who work on farms. And we talk about ag safety overall.
Right. Yeah, because there's actually kind of a federal law that if you're 14, 15 years old, you're going to be working on a farm, you should take this course. And so quite a few extension offices around the state, most offer a course, and we do. I partner with several other counties west of here, so we actually have it in Hoxie, but I'll be going. So if any youth needs to go to the course, they can go with me. It's going to be on April the 26th. That's a Saturday, and starts about 8:30, and we should be done by 4:30 or 5. There are some pre-things that they need to get done, and they need to get registered if they're going to go, so they could give us a call at the extension office. There's a $10 participation fee, and we'll check a book out to them, a manual that they'll need to do some pre-homework before then, but they need to get registered by April the 22nd, and they can do that by giving us a call at the extension office at 785-628-9430.
And this does focus on basically teenagers, younger people.
Yep, 14, 15 years old is what the law states. They're supposed to have this course. Sometimes we get kids that are 13 or 16 too. That's okay. And it just focuses on farm safety with working with machinery, even livestock, even lightning, herbicides. We try to kind of touch everything. Electrical. Western Electric Cooperative has this really neat demonstration table, kind of a mini farmstead that they bring every year, and they illustrate, the dangers of, watching out for high lines and stuff like that, and what to do if you ever hit one, which hopefully a lot of people know, but some don't. And and we've got Highway Patrol will come in, talk about safety when you're moving equipment on the highways. We've got, I think, an EMS person sometimes that comes in and talk. I believe we've got a Farm Bureau person this year coming in to do some neat demonstrations. So we try to be hands-on as much as possible and make it a good day for the kids as far as just being aware of the hazards that are out there working on the farm and ranch.
Important information. You also wanted to talk about another potential problem for some of our ag producers, corn stunt. What is that exactly?
So, it's a new disease, and I just want people to be aware of it because we actually had one of our Crop Talk webinars. We talked about it, and we did a little survey of those people, and only about half of them were aware of it, and I kind of figured more people knew about it. We don't have a lot of corn growers here, but as we go further west or even south or north or east of here, there's more corn grown. And it's a new disease called corn stunt disease that is actually spread only by an insect, the corn leafhopper, which has not been that we know of, an insect really here in Kansas, but we seem to have it now. And basically when it feeds on the corn plant, and it takes about 30 days, it can infect the corn plant with this disease. And basically, kind of one of the main precautions is to try to plant your corn early. Later planted corn is more at risk, and there's no insecticides that can do any good on it, because by the time you see it, it's already got it, and it's really not economical to try to spray ahead of time for it. So just some awareness, and actually my next article that should be coming out here in the Hayes and Great Bend Post is about that, so you can find some more information on it there. And if you just put in corn stunt disease KSU, you should be able to get some information. Oklahoma State University's got some good information. It's been a pest more in the tropical areas. Brazil and those countries have been dealing with it for a number of years. And then it's been, in the southern Texas and Florida area, but it's came up here.
Moving north.
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of pests that we have to worry about, and we do have a little more alfalfa in this area, alfalfa weevils.
Alfalfa weevils kind of always, is a perennial pest, and just want producers, they're aware of it, but they may need to spray earlier this year than normal. They just need to get out and scout, because of the warm weather. Probably the weevil's going to be starting to do some feeding here very quickly. We're already at, we call it growing degree days or units, and we're already at the amount of growing degree days and units to where eggs would be hatching and feeding will start occurring. The alfalfa is still pretty small because of the colder weather we had in January and February, and we could use some moisture. So that's going to be kind of a catch-22. Do I spray when the alfalfa is this small? If I'm seeing, the pinholing feeding in those top leaves, but you may need to do that. You might have to spray twice. It's just, guys kind of need to be out there and looking. And if they got any questions, they could give us a call. And we also have an alfalfa insect management guide. If you type that in and put KSU, you'll get it to come up.
We also we were talking about, Jeff mentioned he's seeing some green out in the fields, and I'm seeing some green in my yard a little bit, which can mean crabgrass.
Crabgrass control. K-State recommends to put it down roughly around mid-April. I'm going to say, as warm as it is and everything, if it were me, I'd probably put it out earlier, a week or two earlier. It has to be watered in, no matter whether you use a liquid or a dry. There's several types of crabgrass preventers / pre-emergence on the market. Dimension, Halts, Barricade, any of those will work, but they do need to be watered in. You can go to your garden centers to get those and read and follow the label. Like Halts is good for about 6 to 8 weeks, so you probably need to put a second application down. And then if you miss some weeds that kind of come through the pre-emergent, you could do a spraying of something like a Trimec, Weed Be Gone, but do it when the weeds are small. It's best to always try to spray the weeds when they're small instead of letting them get big and start to produce seed, because then you're kind of have already behind the 8 ball. I
was reading an article last night, Stacy, about the move toward more natural gardening, lawn and gardening, and to just kind of let things take their course. What about crabgrass? What would be the bad result if you did not control it in any way?
So if you start out with a pretty good lawn that doesn't have too many weeds, you can maybe do that. But if the lawn has got some, weeds are very opportunistic. So if you've got one little patch where there's no grass, what usually happens? You get a weed growing. So if you don't have a good dense grass, you're going to kind of be fighting an uphill battle on weeds if you're trying to do it naturally. I mean, you can, pulling weeds.
Very laborious.
Yeah, very laborious. I know vinegar is one of those things you read about. It kills the top, but it doesn't kill the root. So they're going to be coming back.
Sure.
So that's really what we're trying to do with herbicides. And if we use them properly, read the label, I don't think they're bad for the environment. And you can do either or. It's your choice. I don't like pulling a lot of weeds, don't have a lot of time, so I'll try to lean on the herbicides and put them down at the right time and read the label and follow that.
I think the natural movement in lawn care is just more on the look of the aesthetic, how everything's not all like in nice little rows and things like that. I think it's more along those lines.
I mean, if you like a purple lawn right now, they're out there. That's hen bit.
Well, it's pretty.
It's pretty, but it's not fun to mow later because then it dies and then you're not mowing much but weeds and dirt. So, yeah.
Well, talking about lawns, it also makes me think of gardening. And I do know some people that follow the rule of thumb with St. Patrick's Day and planted potatoes. And there's some other early vegetables and things going on. You can always get the garden guide from the extension office that talks about what works well in your particular area.
Right. Kansas kind of redid their garden planting guide. It's actually for sale, but you can go online and get it and download it. It's over 200 pages. It kind of covers everything from A to Z on gardening. I believe they've got information in there now. And I think they did in the past on, container gardening, raised bed gardening. So they've updated that. Very good source. And one thing that I look at every year is I can't always remember what seeding depth to plant some things at. So there's a little 2 or 3 page publication or 2 pages front and back called the Kansas Garden Planting Guide. And I usually look at that each year to remind me of, how deep to plant some of the things that I plant and when. So got lots of resources. If you just get out there on the internet and look and put KSU, you probably can get them to come up, or put EDU and you can get, that information, or you can get on our website, www.cottonwood.ksu.edu, or give us a call at 628-9430.
I was also reading something recently about the zones that are across the United States on planting zones and what time of year and how soon you can do some planting of different things. Did I read this correctly, that the expansion is increasing a little bit into warmer zones because of the climate and temperatures getting warmer?
So. Yeah, I think so.
And so that kind of makes you have to adjust to when you do your planting.
Right, just kind of like I mentioned, the getting down that crabgrass preventer. We've said around mid-April when actually one of the rules of thumbs with extension is when the red buds are blooming. And honestly, I haven't paid attention. I'm seeing that the pear trees are blooming, but when the red buds are blooming, you need to try to get down your crabgrass preventer. But yes, I would agree with this warmer weather. I mean, yes, we were below normal January and February, but we've been quite a bit above normal in March for our temperatures. So I think things can kind of be maybe moved up a little bit on deadlines and so forth.
And of course, springtime in Kansas, we know the weather's going to do what it's going to do, so we can get the really warm temperatures today and the next day or so, and then it'll drop off again.
Right.
Does that not hurt when you do things a little bit early?
It can. Yeah, it can hurt. It kind of depends on what it is. I mean, I've planted some lettuce and spinach. It's not up, but if we got really cold, I might want to go out and cover it, And those fluctuations are hard on our plants, even our perennial plants, our trees and shrubs and stuff. They start growing and greening up and stuff, and it gets warm, and then the temperatures drop drastically, and that is hard on all kind of perennial plants in a matter of speaking. So that brings up another good point. Recommended plants is very important. K-State and others have done work in trying to see what grows best here. So there's a recommended plant list that we have online for Northwest Kansas. If you're going to plant a tree, the city of Hays has that rebate program, and you can pick up a little flyer on it or get online, and it lists the recommended trees that you can plant that do better in our area. And not to say that you just plant them and walk away from them. You still got to water them and take care of them, and especially for those first probably 3 to 5 years. But recommended plants is very important. Sometimes some of the stores, big box stores in particular, they sell stuff for a large geographic area. So just because it's there doesn't mean that it's going to fit our environment. I would get online and look at our recommended plant list. Also with grasses, if you're going to be seeding some cool season grass, fescue, bluegrass, now's the time to do that. I would recommend to go to either Riedel's or Hayes Greenhouse to get your grass seed, because they've got seed that's specific here for our area. If you kind of plant that stuff that just says it's a cool season grass, it kind of fits a big geographic area and doesn't always work for our area.
Our locals know best.
Yeah, I think so.